G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires. Today we're on the map Himiyama. We got a couple of little differences. I'll go over them with you shortly. But let's first get into this game. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a fun matchup. One of my favorite matchups. Because this is a matchup where, as the Chinese player, you have to start thinking outside the box. Let's get into it and introduce our players for today in the east of the map. In the color purple, playing as the Order of the Dragon, representing Team Liquid. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Demu. And on the west side of the map, in the color teal, playing as the Chinese, it's Uncle, or Alamu, as I guess you could say it naturally if you wanted to. Probably ruined it with the accent there, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Himiyama. It is a pleasure to have your company today. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that. I should wait for it to pop up. Give me a second here. Wait, shouldn't it be popping up any? There we go. Hit that like button, the subscribe, all that kind of jazz. Anyway, let's get to it. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Now, in Australia, today is actually the 26th of December, which we call it Boxing Day. I don't know what you guys call it in your country, but it's Boxing Day. It's the day after Christmas, and in Australia, it is the day that everybody goes crazy and spends money. Now, that's kind of been overtaken by Black Friday. You know, Black Friday sales go crazy. It's really just a whole bunch of consumer spending. That's pretty much it. And yeah, well, anyway, I was going to say it's Black Friday for us. It's not Black Friday. It's Boxing Day. It's a public holiday as well, but the interesting thing about it being a public holiday is that everybody just goes out and does shopping. So I went out, I did a little bit of shopping today. I've had my eye on a new monitor, and I've been keeping an eye on it, and I said, you know what, I'm going to wait until Boxing Day, and then I'll see if the price comes down at all. Price went up, but then they, of course, discounted it back down to the normal price that it was anyway, and I was like, yeah, you know what, like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. We waited, we got rolled, but at least we get to feel good. They put a nice little sticker on there saying it's that we got a good deal. Anyway, so I've upgraded. I don't know if you guys are running OLED monitors, but this is the first time I'm actually having an OLED monitor. I've gone through a whole bunch of different monitors. Like I had a 34-inch widescreen one. It was like a 3440 by 1440 monitor. Then I've gone up to 4K. I've kind of enjoyed these 4K monitors for a bit. I've gone through a couple of iterations with that, like the 60 hertz one, and then 144 hertz one. But now I've got this monitor, and I think this is interesting because this is kind of where OLED monitors are at the moment, where it's just kind of like, to me, it just feels like I will never need another monitor in my life. Now I say that until the next best thing comes out, right? But it's a 4K, 244 hertz OLED monitor, and it's got like a really low response time, and it's I think it's 32 inches, so it's a decent size. A bit of an upgrade from the previous one that had 27 inches, but yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an MSI. There's not a lot of them out on the market at the moment. Oh, the other big thing is that it's glossy. It's not matte finish. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, if you've ever been inside the Apple Store and you've seen the matte versus the gloss, I much prefer the gloss. Anyway, look, it's been 2.5 minutes, and I've just been talking you guys off, or talking your ears off about monitors. Let's get into the game and talk a little bit about what we're seeing on our screens right here, because we got the age ups on the way through. No real surprises, pretty par for the course here, as the Imperial Academy is coming up for Uncle in the west of the map. Over on the east side of the map, we do see the Archon Chapel coming down, and this is going to be one of the most difficult to swallow Archon Chapels that there is. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised he didn't just put it here next to the stone, because then at least that way you've kind of got like two resources that you can go off. But realistically, like, there is nowhere you can even place this to pick up two different resources other than this spot here. And I think if you're lucky, you might even get both of them next to each other. I wonder why he didn't take this spot. I guess he's just not thinking at all about a second town center. But I mean, even if you go fast castle and you want to drop down a keep later or get some emplacements, like, it's still going to be decent for you. But either way, this is probably the saddest Archon Chapel you'll ever see. A single woodline Archon Chapel. I mean, it does have a secondary woodline here, which it covers for probably like, what, 1, 2 of its lumber camps, but even then it's just like, it's a small woodline, right? Like, this is the saddest Archon Chapel you'll ever see in Age of Empires 4, ladies and gentlemen. I guess, look, the upside to the positioning on this Archon Chapel is that it's towards the back of the base, which means that we can put our farms down and we don't have to worry too much about it. The other thing is that we've got, we've got our woodline very close to our Archon Chapel, so we can transition over to farms very easily here. That's about the only silver lining I can really find here. But Let's check in with Demo and see how he's doing. He's actually got a couple of boats out in the middle of the map. Now, keep in mind that if your enemy is putting on pressure early on, they can potentially siege this down and you can no longer gather any resources in the center. But if you can maintain control of this little pond, there are some annoying things that you can do. But speaking of annoying, have a look at this. As now we see Demo preparing for the incoming cavalry of Uncle. Uncle heading straight towards that gold vein and spots out those villagers. They're actually just going to take the fight instead. A couple more vills coming out from that town center, looking to try and help finish this outpost up. Of course, he knows how important it is to get that outpost online, and now with that outpost coming up, it should mean the vills on gold will be safe. But have a look at this. There is just a huge amount of cavalry coming out in the middle, and this is something that we've seen out of a lot of Chinese players recently, and we did see a second scout coming out for a second there, but this, I would suspect, ends up in a professional scout's tilt. Now, we do, of course, already have the mill. This is kind of standard for the Chinese, even though it's not under the town center, so a bit of a weird positioning in that on the berries, a bit more of an older sort of style of the Chinese. But expect to see the professional scouts coming out soon, as we do see there are 2 scouts now in queue. So he'll be looking to snipe away a couple of these deer packs, I suspect. And there is the professional scouts coming online. But how does the saddest Archon compare? Well, for the moment, the saddest Archon just makes sad Archon noises and hopes that one day he'll become a glorious center for Holy Roman Empire farmland. That's pretty much all you can hope. Demo doing the right thing here and pulling back some villagers. Any of the vills that couldn't fit inside this outpost, he pulls them back, and you can see here he's got 5 vills out here. Order of the Dragon Vill is always going to be a little bit more bulky, a little bit better at gathering up those resources as well. But good control already from Uncle early on in this game. No scout here with the raiding force. Those guys are all going to be out here busy collecting up all of the deer, and you can see he's got so many damn deer out here as well. Going to put down a little bit of hurt on this gold vein. At the moment, 514 gold has been gathered. You can see that Demo probably needs to gather up about 100 or so more, and there's not really, I mean, there's this gold down to the south that he could always come down to if worse came to worse, but for the moment, I think he should be fine. Let's head back towards the center and see how the professional scouts are going for Uncle as he brings them back on through. You can see he's now picking up wheelbarrow. I'd hope to see an early survival techniques as well, just simply because with these upgrades you do get those rebates, and it's doubled, of course, by the Imperial Academy, which is always really nice to have. But oh my lord, this is something interesting that we are witnessing right now. We are witnessing a Burgrave, and keep in mind, this is not the Holy Roman Empire, this is the Order of the Dragon. So the Burgrave's a little bit different here. For the Holy Roman Empire, the Burgrave is a Burgrave. Okay, it just pumps units non-stop. Whereas with the Burgrave for the Order of the Dragon, it's a little bit more of a slow burn. It's a faster production speed slightly and a reduced cost. So over the course of a game, it does definitely add up as survival techniques is now coming through. I tell you what, with this monitor, maybe I need to push it back a little bit. Because I'm sitting here watching, and I'm not kidding you, I have to turn my head to look at the upgrades. Like, I can't even look with my eyes. I need to actually, maybe I've got to push my glasses a little bit closer to my face. Maybe that fixes it up. Just done that. You know that little thing that the nerds always do? I mean, I'm a nerd. I do that. I push the glasses up on 3.14159265358979323584. There we go. Monastery now going to be coming down for Demo as well, rushing this bad boy up. Really interesting that he doesn't go into Regnitz Cathedral. I guess the reason for not going into Regnitz Cathedral is like very clearly that the enemy's got a pretty decent cav presence out here, and he's fearful that the enemy's just going to go up to castle with this cav presence, deny the relics. And that's one of the mistakes, I will say, it's one of the mistakes that we've seen from Demo before, where he has looked to try and secure relics, and he's done so in an unfavorable position, and it's resulted in him going for a Regnitz Cathedral that has ended up being suboptimal. And when I say suboptimal, I mean like 0.5 on the relic count, suboptimal. Or 1.4 on the relic count, suboptimal, right? I think we've seen 2 games. He definitely favors these civilizations that are a bit more relic heavy, and we can see a little bit of ring around the rosy right now with the rose actually being some berries. The spears are going to get great value. Honestly, that for one Vill to be taking out, doing that much damage to your horsemen, I feel like that's pretty decent. But have a look at this, as we've got no American snipers around here. We got the Arabic sniper. We've also got the Chinese sniper. But looks like the scout's probably going to have to drop the deer carcass and make a bit of a run for it. Indeed, he does. But back towards the base. Imperial Palace does come up for our Chinese player, so no Song Dynasty, no second town center. It is just a pure Castle Age focus here, and of course we're going to see a monastery coming down any second here, for sure. It's only got one vill on wood. Just one single vill on wood. Is he going all in? Has he got supervision on... There's a supervisor here. He's going all in. He's looking for an all-in timing or something right now. Is that what we're witnessing? He's doing very little damage to these spears. But he spotted out the Burgrave, almost certainly. And that's why I guess he's just doing this to defend. But it's spears that he's facing off against, and you can see he's struggling at the moment. So might have to switch vills over to... Might have to switch vills over onto wood to try and get some archers out. One relic towards the north, in possession. Demo picks it up. Crossbow number is starting to build, but have a look at the spearman number. These are only hardened spears as well. That's the other thing to note. Really good trades here for Demo. Demo is just loving these trades. He doesn't even care if he loses these units. This is absolutely fine because look how much damage he's doing. One gilded spearman for a lancer. I'll take that any day of the week. Picks up a crossbowman for it anyway. Up towards that top side, we can see the prelate does actually go down to a combination of the wolf and what I would suspect has been that horseman. Meanwhile, back towards the base of Demo, we can see more and more spears continue to come out. Now, keep in mind, it's 30%? 35%. 35% faster and 35% cheaper. Technology is also research faster. But for the moment, it's just going to be spears. And we can see, you know, I think Demo's actually made the right call here by going into the Burgrave, in the sense that the Regnitz wasn't going to be able to do anything for him. Like, realistically, you go Regnitz, but then what do? Like, you could still try and pick up the relics, but if you're up against a guy who has just got cav all over the map, he's taken out your prelates as your... Oh, did he snipe that one away? He did snipe that one away from his opponent. Look at this. So Demu actually trying to get a 5-for-5er here. Let's see how it plays out. Barbican going to be going back down on the backside of the base. Never a fan of this. Never a fan of this. Ideally, I mean, in a situation like this, I'd even be tempted just to send up a couple vills and put it up over here. You're going to get so little value from this in the back of the base. It is, look, there's always the chance a raid comes in and you're able to repel something or get some damage off, but it's just, it's one of those things where it's like you're putting a keep basically down over here, and it's painful. It's painful. All right. Let's check in with Demo and see how he's doing on the defense. He doesn't know it yet, but we do. Spears have been upgraded to veteran. Looks like one vill will be going down. Nice little fade away there by Uncle. Up towards that top side, we see the Gilded Knight now coming out as well. Double prelates on the way back through. He's got 3 relics in the bag at the moment. 4th one in the middle of the map. He is keeping an eye on it with the galley. 5th one down towards the south side, yet to be stolen away just yet. No relics being collected up by our Chinese player either. That's another thing to note, as the spearmen now make their way towards those crossbows. And still, we do not see a single archer coming out for our Chinese player. A little bit concerning, to be honest. Like, this to me is just an objective misplay. Was he just thinking, okay, it's going to be men-at-arms? Like, was he just... Maybe he thought he was up against the Holy Roman Empire, but here with, like, the spears, even this kind of fight, you're still 100% happy to take this. Demo is feeling great about himself here. These are just wonderful trades. He's getting such good damage onto these cav units here. Able just to take them out constantly. And now that the Gilded Knight is through, keep in mind that with the Gilded Knight, though, it is going to get countered by these crossbows, but it's still great at chasing down units and does a lot of base damage as well. 36 base damage on each of these attacks. Will have to fall back. There's plenty of prelates to heal it up, so as long as he's able to get it out on relatively low health, he'll be happy with it. But he's going to be feeling good about himself. The fact that he's up now 3 relics with 1 in hand, and that 5th relic to the south of the map where he knows where it is, he's located it, and he probably feels good about the positioning of it. More units going to continue to come up. Charges come through, landing in on those cav units. We'll ride back on board with Uncle and see how he's doing as the units continue to mass for him. But one thing to note, though, is he's lost a lot. You can definitely feel he has lost a lot of units, a lot more than what he should have lost. Now, I think that's largely because of how aggressive he wanted to be out of the gates here, but Demo's still kind of struggling to keep that head above water. You can feel that Chinese pressure is really starting to mount. And this is a totally different style of Chinese that we are witnessing here. This is something that before this season, you never would have seen this. You never would have seen this at all from the Chinese, and yet we see it becoming so dominant here. This sort of one base style, very similar to what the Holy Roman Empire used to play, in that they used to go for their professional scouts. They used to look to play around that largely, and then from there transition into just sort of like this one base kill mode. Now, the next big question for me becomes about Demo and his timing on Imperial Age. For the moment, I would say that you probably don't have an opportunity at this stage. But with him picking up relics, that gold is going to start to trickle in more for him as raids come through. And as the gold trickles in more, the opportunity to go Imperial gets higher and higher. And keep in mind, the sooner he goes Imp, the better it is for him, because then he's able to outscale the Chinese player. And that's something that you've always got to remain very careful of. Prelate coming down to the south. He's going to be so happy, so giddy that he's going to get his hands on this 5th and final relic right now. Demu somehow managing to turn it around. It's kind of impressive the way that he's turned it around so quickly in so few games as well. And just kind of decided, you know what? Like, maybe Regnitz isn't the right call here, and it was 100% right. I think if you go Regnitz here, you end up with maybe 1, maybe 2 relics if you're lucky. Just because Uncle's doing a decent job here of keeping the man down. All right, well, at this stage, Gilded Crossbowmen going to start coming out. Outpost as well on the bottom side of the base. Gilded numbers always going to be quite low compared to their opponents, but remember, the units are much stronger. But for the moment, the outnumbered units will do better here as Uncle is really looking to destroy this Order of the Dragon army. Outpost comes online. Prelate going to try and deposit the relic inside. Will get it through. Prelate goes down. He's happy. That's all he wanted. He wanted the relic inside. Once it gets in, he's A-okay. He can then get the fortification through. Then the Springald emplacement. Has he got access to the stone? He does have access to the stone as well. He is feeling very good about himself. This is a good position. I think he's in a really good spot here. Despite the fact, I mean, there are other factors that we need to consider, right? Like when it comes to food on this map, and kind of wild to me that at 16 minutes, despite securing with professional scouts the lion's share of hunt on this map, we've still got Uncle going down for berries at 16 minutes. That's kind of wild. Like, I guess it's a lot of food. I take it back. He's got a lot of food in the bank right now. 1,500 food in the bank. This is a man who is very hungry. We can say that much with certainty. But what we can also say with certainty is that Demu's going to pick up all 5 of the relics, and with that, I would say he's probably got a pretty clear transition here into the Imperial Age. It's just about the defense from this position here. So I think he's done the right thing. He's transitioned over to farms, got a big booming economy here, looking to put the relics inside the outposts. The big thing is that you want to go for a fortification on the outpost. You want to hold off putting that emplacement in until you reach the Imperial Age, and then hit that cannon emplacement. But that's, of course, depending on how long you think that you can go without getting that Springald emplacement. Because if you're under imminent threat, like what we could see potentially out of Uncle over here, then maybe going in for that Springald emplacement will make a little bit more sense. But the numbers here aren't the best for him. He's only at 28 military pop compared to his opponent on 34, but it's really not so much as to make a dent. Still producing plenty of units. Food at the moment looking pretty even, 1,050 compared to 1,150 on the side of the Chinese. So not doing too bad on that front either, but you can see already that food has been exhausted now down to the south side. Where does he go from here? It looks like it's going to be over towards the lumber camp. So I think from the Chinese perspective, this is where it sort of gets a bit difficult to know how to play, because you were expecting men-at-arms, right? And you got spears. And the value of the trades that you've been taking have been a lot lower than what you were expecting. You were expecting to have these high-value trades where you just crush your opponent because you're going crossbow lancer. And what beats crossbow lancer? Well, spearman. Surprisingly, spearman just beat it. You just make spearman and run at the enemy, and that does pretty much it. All right, well, farm transition is now starting to come through for Uncle towards that south side. Looks like a raid does get shut down. Meanwhile, towards the north, Sacred Site is being captured. Second town center is coming down as well. I like this. This is a smart move, but the biggest problem that you're going to have in this position is that with the lack of tempo, like you've got the farm transition that's coming through at an awkward timing. How much food is actually left on this map? So he's still got a little bit of deer, and he's also got the front berries. Oh, a single deer down here as well. Also got the boar in the north. Yeah, I guess this farm timing is okay, right? It kind of makes sense. So, I mean, maybe Demo thinks something is up here, but I would suspect he knows he's got some space here. Let's see what the play is on his side. Oh, look, with the keep coming up on the gold. This is it. This is Imperial, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a look. Okay, look at this. No cannon emplacement, or no Springald emplacement just yet. We have one on the front, which is definitely the right call. Towards the front, the Springald emplacement. Towards the back, the cannon emplacement. And with the keep coming up online, this is basically a guarantee. When it comes to Swabia, I think you're probably going to be looking to put it down here on the bot side. Could also go around here as well. Yeah, I think you're probably fine just putting it here. But yeah, somewhere in that region. You want it close to the wood line so that those vills can come out, jump on the wood, and then you can transition them over to food almost immediately. Meanwhile, towards that south side, Gilded Knight's going to get shut down. 16 health, they managed to get away with one of them, at least. Meanwhile, that archer number is, or that ranged unit number is looking very healthy. Demo about to click up. Where does he go for it? As I said, I think it's going to be here, yeah. It makes the most sense. It's got to be in that spot. So it is going to be the Swabia. No real surprises there. Scout pops in. Just gives a little love tap to the Gilded Knights. Meanwhile, on the side of Uncle, I think for Uncle here, has he got Imperial Spies? He does have Imperial Spies. So in this position where he's got his farms online, I think the most important thing for him is that, number one, you need to get third TC. This is crazy, Uncle. Sorry, man. At 2 TCs, I was in love with what you were doing. At 3 TCs, this is what I'm going to call... I can't say the word, but you know what I'm thinking already. You might as well just jump off the top story, my friend, because that... The reason why this is bad, or why this is really, really difficult to swallow at this stage of the game, is because basically you've just transitioned over to farms, and you're still kind of going over into farms at the moment. And the problem is a lot of that food is getting put into villas, and they will pay off eventually once that villager that you've trained goes and creates a farm. But it's going to cost you 75 wood to do that, and it then needs to gather up 50 food to pay itself off before it can, you know, get you back on par. And so by doing this, what you're now doing is delaying that timing that you're getting up to Imperial yourself. You're delaying your defense. Now, granted, this is a great defensive option from him to wall up like this. 100% what he needs to be doing, because there is going to be elite units that are on the way shortly. And typically that's going to be like your elite horsemen, which are very, very popular. So going for the early walls like this, or the palisade walls, is just going to guarantee just a little bit of delay in those units reaching you, and that's what you want. All right, well, let's check in over on the other side and see how Demu is doing in the Imperial Age. The Swabia is online, and both players are just kind of chilling, just doing a little bit of a calm reset for the moment. There's those Gilded Knights towards the top side, or they've both been fully healed up to max health. And for the moment, Demu is cool, calm, and collected. Tithe Barnes has arrived. He's also looking to pick up Specialized Pick. And let's take a look and see. No cannon in placement just yet, but he's quite comfy, quite calm, quite cool, collected even. Now making his way across the map. We can see a whole bunch of walls still yet to come up completely, but it's a very big, large section that he's looking to complete. Wall gets scattered out. Manages to pick off the Vill. And now around the backside. Spear's able to intercept. Only one Vill going down. So there was the first one here, and then the second one down here. But he's able to repel it for the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a whole bunch... Yeah, a whole bunch of Vills now going to come out and finish this wall ASAP. You don't want to lose any more Vills to this. Meanwhile, let's check in with our Archon. Remember we called this the saddest Archon? Well, it's not so sad anymore. This is the Bastion of Wheat. The farmland, the heartland of the Holy Roman Empire. Have a look at this. Elite upgrades on the way through. Elite archers, elite horsemen, and of course our favorite silk bowstrings. It's coming through for an even more range. Do you remember in the playtest? What was it called? The original or the beta for this season? I think they had this technology as stringing bows with silk grants archers +2 range. God, that was wild. I think it was 2 range, wasn't it? Gosh, that's crazy. That's it. I mean, even 1.5 is still a lot. All right, well, the wall is almost complete towards the west side of the map. You can see still a couple of openings in, but he'll be closing them up very quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing even just some stone little segments coming in along here. Keep in mind, he's still yet to click up to Imperial Age. Likely... Where do you even put your landmark down for this? I think you probably just want to go in the back of the base. Like, delete this lumber camp, put the stone wall here, and then you just want to cover all these farms with the Great Wall Gatehouse. That's an option for you. You can also look to try and do it on the top side here. That would be another one. But look at this farm. This farmland is insane from both of these players. How many farms have we got coming out from Uncle? Let's quickly check. 51 on the side of Demu. He's on 29. Only 29 farms. I tell you what, looks good for 29 farms, Demu. I guess because they're so centralized, aren't they? But no, it's going to be the Spirit Way that comes out on the other side of the map. There it is. So instead of going into the Great Wall Gatehouse, going to go into the Spirit Way. Interesting decision here. So this landmark gives you a little bit more attack speed, a little bit more healing when a dynasty unit near you dies. So it's an extra 20% attack speed and an extra 20 health over 10 seconds. So it's quite nice, especially if you're playing into those dynasty units. So the best way that you normally do it is you have a Jukunu for the backline and then you run it with a whole bunch of hand cannoneers. So normally you want to mix in, like, let's say you got 10 hand cannoneers, you want 1 or 2 Jukunu. You can even delete them. I loved doing that when I used to main the Chinese. And then for your front line, you can go like spears and fire lances mixed in with horsemen. So you just mix in like 5, 10 fire lances, and then you've got, you know, 20 horsemen and 20 spears, and then that way they'll buff up them through that mechanism. But now the numbers for these players looking relatively even, but keep in mind that one of them has significantly more powerful units on the side of Uncle. We see the upgrades are coming through. It's going to take some time before he actually gets the upgrades. He's actually moving into Battle Hardened for the Palace Guards. Interesting decision, and he never built this wall at the front. So Demu's going to walk in unchallenged. Elite Spears, Elite Gilded Archers, Elite Gilded Crossbow. Everything's been upgraded. We've got Incendiary Arrows on the way, together with Heavy Torches. That's the AoE damage for Spearmen. It means that they can start taking down multiple farms at the same time. The trick is, you get behind enemy lines, you burn the mill, and you kill all of the farms around it. But have a look at this. The Gilded Archers push up now against that crossbow backline. Easily able to take them out, but you can see that heal and extra attack speed coming through because the Jukunu went down. Spears being brought back and forward. Demo realizes, you know what, I think it's just going to be an archer battle here, so we might as well commit these spears to the front line. Elite Army Tactics still not in, but at this point I don't think it really makes much of a difference. Not a lot of melee units here for his opponent. Now Palace Guards make their way through. We also see the hand cannoneer coming online at this stage. No pyrotechnics in for him, so just going to be dealing with that close range action. Meanwhile, the Silk Bowstrings has these guys up at 7 range a pop. That is incredible, man. 7 range on these Gilded Archers in the Imperial Age. That's kind of wild, isn't it? Just how much range that is. Meanwhile, towards the north, we got keep on keep action. We haven't talked much about the challenge for resources, but to be fair, Uncle's been doing a pretty decent job. The main concern I've got is whether or not he's going to hold the front here. The front does not need to fall off right now. He wants to try and hold this front. Palace Guards being upgraded to Elite. You can see he's going to get kited awake here. Trying to take out Vils as well throughout this fight, but now looking to focus down these Palace Guards. Got their Battle Hardened, but unfortunately no Elite upgrade just yet as the damage gets done. Meanwhile, Uncle under pressure on this south side towards the north. Outpost gets, or Siege Workshop gets thrown down immediately. You know what's kind of wild to me is that, like, I remember the game that we were watching with Demu where there was this exact situation, and I literally said, like, oh, he needs to drop a Siege Workshop immediately, and he didn't drop it for like 4 or 5 minutes, and the enemy got tempo on him because of that, and yet here up towards the north he drops the Siege Workshop before I can even suggest it, man. This is a new guy that we're witnessing here. He's been playing Age of Empires 4 for 3 years, but I tell you what, he's got a breath of fresh air underneath him right now. This is looking like a whole new Demu. This is incredible. Let's check in with the farm numbers. How's he doing? Still 29 farms and just holding it down. Look at this. Farm numbers are good. Max population, 200. Oh my god, he's 200 max pop. I didn't even realize he's max pop compared to his opponent, who is not. 152. And this is despite the 3rd TC, which he kind of had. He's had more than a window now to punish. I guess that big fight a little bit earlier did pretty bad to him, because at the end of the day, he was fighting with his unupgraded units against upgraded units. Granted, some of them are upgraded, but not all of them. But now at least the Palace Guards have got upgrades. Pyrotechnics is going to be coming through for the hand cannoneers. He's only got 4 hand cannoneers. The economy right now for Uncle is not good. And it's only going to get worse as the Vils go down. He realizes he can't take that fight. He falls back away from it and says, the Order of the Dragon is too powerful right now. I need to pry away from this position. Wall to the front does get completed. Meanwhile, towards the north, once again, Uncle's going to be losing out on this gold as well. You can see him getting cleaned up on every single gold vein out here. There's nothing to really hold this down. There's no Barbican towards the front here. There's no Great Wall Gatehouse, gosh. Great Wall Gatehouse. There we go. We got it out eventually. Now, I got to tell you, and from my feedback initially with regard to this monitor, It is incredible. Like, the difference between them, because I've got them sitting right next to each other. I can see the game on both monitors because I've got OBS on it. And the difference between them is incredible. I don't know whether it's like color accuracy or the depth of the color, but the colors look a lot better on the OLED monitor. And I guess that's one of the other things about OLEDs, if you don't know much about monitors, like that's pretty cool, is when you have an OLED monitor and it shows a black pixel, it just turns the pixel off. So you get like a real deep black. You can't get more black than off, right? Well, there you go. Anyway, it looks like now a little bit of a raid going to be coming through with the Palace Guards. Quite a lot of Palace Guards as well, 20. Is that going to be enough to turn Demu around and buy his opponent a little bit more time? I suspect it probably won't be. Might even be able to clean this up with what he's got back at home. Emplacement never came through on the outpost for Demu. He's got the resources for a Springald. Meanwhile, down towards the south, we do see the raid has broken through the walls. On the north side as well, it's also through. Meanwhile, towards that top side, the keep stays online for the moment. What happened to... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, what happened to the Culverin? But it all makes sense now. The Culverin never came out because he never actually was able to get it out. This is one of the problems when you've got all these units queued up. The Culverin just stays here because everything else is queued up in front of it. But he should hopefully lose a couple of units here, and then that should free up the population space to let that Culverin pop, which indeed it does. And so now, on the backside, Vils are going to start going down. Demu looking to clear out this Chinese base of villagers. Spears, crossbows, together with the archers just teeing off. You can see them working their magic here. Meanwhile, back on the other side of the map, the Palace Guards are doing work. And now you can see the importance of having those stone walls up. Just a couple of stone walls across the back here would have stopped that completely. Always a little bit hard to stone wall through a barracks. So you might have to go to the stone vein, or the stone outcropping. But now hand cannoneers together with the Palace Guards. This is exactly what you want as the Chinese. The question's going to be about whether he's going to be able to stay in the game long enough to get online, because you can definitely feel the pressure that Demu is putting on his opponent. Demu at 170 pop at the moment. He's lost a lot of troops here at the 32-minute mark. Meanwhile, back towards the base, he is slowly cleaning up the battle that is raging on this east side. Towards the north, Vils being forced off the gold once again. It is the constant theme throughout this game is, where is my gold and how am I going to get this gold? Meanwhile, Demu's just been very happy. Very, very happy with the way that this has gone, because he really hasn't had much contest. There is this gold in the middle that's very susceptible to the enemy army pressure and potentially this galley, but it can be gathered. I would say this is probably your best bet here. I just don't know what range this galley's got on it. Probably too much range. So until then, it's just going to be the passive gold you've got from your Imperial officials. And now, Demu, look at the resources he's got going. Look at the economy he's got right now. 2,300, 3,400, 5,400. That is a huge economy. Meanwhile, on the other side, you're barely cracking 4K right here. So Demu a mile ahead despite being down on that Vil count. That's largely because of relics, because of the Arcan, and of course because of the Giga Chat villagers that just gather so much more efficiently than all the other Vils. And now that raid comes through on the backside. Sacred Victory is approaching. He's got 2 of the sacred sites. One of them has been somewhat locked down by the keep. There's also that cannon emplacement that's online. Should be able to protect this sacred site relatively well. Meanwhile, towards the main base of Uncle, the pressure continues to mount. We see the upgrade starting to come through. War horses for the Gilded Knights. Doesn't have a whole lot of Gilded Knights at the moment, but maybe he's just thinking about keeping them in the back pocket as a potential trump card. Units rallying out across the map. He's max 200 out of 200. Huge amount of units coming out here. Where did all these units come from? Has he just right-clicked a wall or something and they're all just running in single line formation? Perhaps that's the case. But meanwhile, inside the base as well as outside of the base, Demu's looking to really take the fight. He's down to 190 population compared to his opponent Uncle, sitting at 167 at the moment. And as long as Demu's able to bring all of these troops down and have them actually attacking units, he should be able to stand strong in this fight. We head towards that top side. The Culverin has finally made a connection, actually going to be focusing down the village. If you lose the village, you're going to lose a lot of pop space here. That's definitely going to hurt him in the short term. But forces are looking decent for him. 160 pop, keep an eye on it. Hasn't lost it just yet. Okay, he's going to fire on the units instead. Gilded Archers together with the Gilded Crossbowmen, able to take out that front line. But the hand cannoneers for the Chinese, keep in mind they get that extra slight range upgrade from 4 to 5.5. I say slight. It's not slight. It's huge. More upgrades on the way as well for Demu. Going into precision crossbreeding. And look at the reinforcements. Meanwhile, for our Chinese player, like, he just can't get back on his feet. He just can't get back on his feet. And this is kind of what I was saying before about the Barbican. Right, like, the Barbican's been down here. It would have been getting huge value if it was up towards the front. But, I mean, it's always tough when you've got the Imperial Palace towards the front. You don't really want to stack them on top of each other because they both have big line of sight. So there's always little things like that. But, you know, even like the Great Wall Gatehouse hasn't been getting a whole... Well, I mean, it obviously hasn't been getting any value because he never built it. But you guys get the idea. He probably could have got some good value out of it this game had he gone into it. But now with the landmark going down, Demu moves one step closer to victory. 7 minutes into this game, or 7 minutes remaining on that sacred victory, rather. He's holding down the bottom sacred side. There's a unit on the side as well, which means it's not going to be easy to decap. And look at the horseman number. A huge amount of horsemen moving towards that top side. Palace Guards looking to wrap around. Should be able to find the Culverin without too many issues here. Crossbows together with the archers. Somewhat getting caught here on the Imperial Palace. He does get the full surround though. Spear's now going to be coming out as well, but keep in mind the range units do pretty effectively counter these melee units. And now those Gilded Horsemen are going to be running in, and there's nothing right now to stop these. This right here, this is a death sentence. Because how do you defend against this? Watch this Vil count. He's at 128. Now, granted, he's got 1, 2, 3 TCs. So he's going to be able to rebuild these Vils very quickly. But it's not about the rebuilding. It's about the loss of the Vils. It's about the idle time. And look at Demu splitting up these Vils. Watch how quickly this Vil count goes down. You can see he's already taken out 80 Vils here. A huge amount of villagers. His triple... Oh, my lord. Oh, he was going for a snipe. Look at this. He had triple bombard around the top side. Cheeky. Cheeky, but it got shut down. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it. Go check him out. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can watch him live over on Twitch. And an absolutely flawless game from him right there. Demu, ladies and gentlemen, doing an absolute wonder up against